Go right.
Good to go.
Hang on, wait till the red dot comes on. There we go. We're good. Go ahead.
Good morning and welcome to the October meeting of the full board. Our esteemed chair is unfortunately not here right now, so I'm going to run this meeting. I'll do the best I can. The big shoes to fill, but I'll try my best. Okay, first up is the adoption of the meeting minutes from the September 10th meeting of the board. Roll. Oh, hold on. I've already screwed up. So
No, we just
Sarah?
want to be official and make sure we have a quorum established, which we certainly do. Jerry Romsky will be chairing the meeting today. We have Liz Velez, Janice McKinney, Al Carney, Joan Sullivan, and Kent Severud, all here in our New York City office. In Albany, we have Ken Evans, Adrian Swazerski, and Christina Coughlin. So we have a quorum. Absent today are Lisa Gomez and Beryl Snyder. Now
thank
back
you
to
very much, Sarah.
Thank
And
you.
again, I apologize for not following my instructions. Anyway, I'll go back to the looking for a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from thank you very much. Second, thank you very much. All in favor, aye. Aye. You know, I'll note that we had a pretty extensive discussion at today's finance meeting, so we can repeat it all or just sort of advance with the discussions, but whatever the folks want to do. First up, actually, is my report, actually. So I will report that after a good and lively discussion, finance recommends adoption of the Orchard Park CCRC Fox Run approval at today's meeting. We also then advance and recommend the adoption of the cerebral palsy offering. And then we advanced and we recommend that be approved at today's board meeting. And the two TELP financings, we also recommend be approved at today's board meeting. And I'll note that Ken has recused himself on the TELP for what is it?
The Upstate Medical Center.
The Upstate, right? Okay. Thank you. And that concludes my report, unless anyone has any questions or concerns. Hearing none, I will now advance. I'll note that the governance committee has been adjourned till the November meeting of the board. So we can advance right into what I just discussed, which was the offering for Orchard Park CCRC. As I noted, we had a pretty extensive discussion on that just a few minutes ago, and we do recommend, finance did recommend that be approved at today's board meeting. That said, I'll defer to Dave for a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. The board is being asked to adopt the necessary documents for a financing in an amount not to exceed 75 million with a term not to exceed 35 years on behalf of Orchard Park CCRC Inc., DBA Fox Run at Orchard Park. Bond proceeds are expected to finance the expansion of Fox Run's independent living apartments and patio homes, along with the renovation and expansion of existing common spaces. Fox Run is rated BBB by Fitch, and it's expected that the 2025 bonds will be sold through a public offering. Security for the 2025 bonds will include one or more obligations issued under a master trust indenture, which will be secured by a pledge of revenues and a mortgage. And additional details of this financing were discussed with the members at today's finance committee meeting. I'll just note once again, the transaction is being undertaken as a single approval for a new client rated in the BBB category, and staff is requesting an exception to DASNY's board financing authorization policy as it relates to single approval by the board. At this point, unless there's any questions, I'll turn it over to our co-bond counsel to discuss the documents.
You're muted.
Where is he, up in the top right corner? Yep.
Good now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Apologies for that. Good morning to everyone. I'm going to go right into the presentation. Harris Beach, Martha Colina PLLC, and Perlman and Miranda LLC are serving as co-bond counsel on the Orchard Park CCRC Inc. Obligated Group Series 2025 transaction. I'll give a brief overview of the transaction, and co-bond counsel Steve Edlenpaz will give a brief overview of the general resolution and the series resolution. And then I'll finish up with a discussion of the loan agreement and the master trust indenture, referred to as the MTI. You're being asked to adopt the general resolution and the series resolution authorizing the issuance of the series 2025 bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $75 million. The proceeds of the series 2025 bonds will be loaned to Orchard Park CCRC Inc., doing business as Fox Run at Orchard Park, and we'll just refer to it as Fox Run as the borrower and the obligated group representative. Fox Run is currently the only member of the obligated group. And now a little bit on the Series 2025 transaction. The Series 2025 bonds are proposed to be sold through a negotiated sale to BC Ziegler and Company as the underwriter. The Series 2025 bonds are expected to be issued as tax-exempt bonds in the fixed-rate mode and used to finance or refinance the costs of acquiring, constructing, and equipping various additions and renovations to Fox Run's existing campus located at 1 Fox Run Lane, Orchard Park, New York, to provide for the payment of capitalized interest on the Series 2025 bonds, if any, to fund a debt service reserve fund, and to pay certain costs of issuance of the Series 2025 bonds. The Series 2025 bonds will be special obligations of the authority, payable solely from revenues, which consist of certain payments to be made under the loan agreement and payments made under the Series 2025 obligations that are issued pursuant to the MTI. The Series 2025 obligations will be secured by the gross revenues pledge of all members pursuant to the MTI and mortgages on certain of Fox Run's facilities. And with this, we'll hand it over to Steve.
Thanks. Addressing the general resolution. The general resolution is a new resolution based on the authority's model and constitutes the basic agreement between the authority and the holders of the bonds. The general resolution is an open resolution in that it allows for the issuance from time to time of multiple series of bonds, each such series to be separately secured by the applicable revenues, by certain funds and accounts established for the applicable series of bonds, by an obligation, and by any other security pledged to the payment of such series of bonds. The general resolution sets forth the general terms for each series of bonds, conditions for issuance, security for the bonds, funds and accounts, and the flow of monies through such funds and accounts, events of default and remedies, provisions regarding amendments to the general resolution, provisions regarding the trustees' fiduciary obligations, covenants of the authority, and defeasance provisions. The Series 2025 bonds will be the first series of bonds to be issued under this general resolution. As for the series resolution, it delegates to various officers of the authority the powers, among others, to establish the principal amount of the Series 2025 bonds not to exceed $75 million in the aggregate, the date or dates on which any Series 2025 bonds will pay interest and principal and mature, which maturity may not exceed 35 years from their date of initial issuance. The rate or rates at which the Series 2025 bonds will bear interest, provided that the true interest cost of the Series 2025 bonds will not exceed 7.5% if tax exempt and 10% if taxable. The redemption dates and prices and provisions for tender for purchase, the form of the Series 2025 bonds, and the debt service fund requirement if funding a debt service reserve requirement is determined to be required at the time of pricing. In addition, the series resolution authorizes the execution and delivery of the bond purchase agreement and the loan agreement and approves a draft preliminary official statement, authorizes a final official statement, and authorizes authority officers to do all other things necessary or advisable in connection with the issuance of the Series 2025 bonds. The Series 2025 bonds will be secured by the funds and accounts established pursuant to the Series resolution, the Series 2025 obligations, and the pledge of payments to be made to the authority under the loan agreement.
And just a little bit more on the loan agreement and the MTI. The authority and Fox Run will execute a loan agreement in connection with the issuance of the Series 2025 bonds, which will require Fox Run as a sole member of the obligated group to make timely payments of debt service on the Series 2025 bonds and to pay fees and expenses of the authority and the trustee. The requirement of Fox Run to make payments under the loan agreement will be a general obligation and secured by the Series 2025 obligations issued pursuant to the MTI. Upon the issuance of the Series 2025 bonds, the authority will assign its rights under the loan agreement to the trustee, subject to certain reserved rights. With respect to the MTI, as part of the security package, Fox Run will issue the Series 2025 obligations pursuant to the MTI in order to secure the obligations of Fox Run under the loan agreement. Under the MTI, the members are jointly and severally obligated to pay all obligations issued thereunder. Each Series 2025 obligation will be secured by a pledge of the gross revenues of the members of the obligated group, again, currently only Fox Run, and the mortgages. The MTI permits members other than Fox Run to leave the obligated group and new persons to join the obligated group as long as certain tests and conditions are met. The MTI permits members of the obligated group to incur additional indebtedness and secure that indebtedness on parity with the Series 2025 obligations with certain prescribed limitations. That concludes our prepared remarks. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I mean, like I said, we had a pretty extensive discussion of this. We further noted was approved by Department of Health and a very extensive review by the Department of Financial Services. And so I look for a motion to approve this offering. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you. Second, somebody else. Thank you. Liz, thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion carries. And thank you very much, Portia, for presentation. Thank you.
And certainly Dave, a lot of work.
And Dave, yes, Dave, thank you. Okay, next up is the United Cerebral Palsy of New York State, and Alex will present that offering.
Thank you, Jerry, and good morning. The board is being asked to adopt the necessary documents for the financing of one or more series of tax-exempt and or taxable fixed and or variable rate bonds with a maturity not to exceed 30 years, in an amount not to exceed 28 million on behalf of United Cerebral Palsy Association of New York State, Inc., doing business as Constructive Partnerships Unlimited or CPU. Proceeds from the Series 2025 bonds are expected to be used to, one, fund new capital projects and or reimburse the borrower for cash expended on capital projects. Two, refinance taxable bank loans incurred by the borrower to fund prior capital projects. And three, to refund all or a portion of the borrower's DASNY Series 2010 and 2014 bonds. The new money projects consist of the purchase and or renovation of approximately 8 residential care facilities that support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. CPU was established in 1946 to raise awareness, provide training, promote research, and advocate for services for children with cerebral palsy and related needs. Today, CPU provides comprehensive residential and rehabilitative services throughout New York City, Yonkers, and the Hudson Valley for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Again, these services are essential and
Did we lose audio, Albany?
Yeah. Sure did. We can't hear.
Can the Albany boardroom hear us?
There you go. Can you hear us?
Hear us
Now
now,
we can.
Sarah? At what point did I lose you,
Okay.
Sarah?
It's working?
Yeah.
A minute ago.
All right, so CPU provides comprehensive residential and rehabilitative services throughout New York City and Yonkers and the Hudson Valley for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. These services are essential and state mandated. A rating of AA2 from Moody's is anticipated for this transaction. The full details of this transaction were provided to the members a few moments ago during the Finance Committee meeting. I will now turn the presentation over to Melissa Bennett and Joe Reed, who will provide an overview of the financing documents. Melissa?
Thanks, Alex, and good morning, DASNY board members and DASNY staff. As detailed in our letter to the board, before the board for its consideration is the adoption of a new United Cerebral Palsy Associations of New York State, Inc. bond resolution authorizing the issuance of multiple series of bonds at one or more times, and the adoption of a new series resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $28 million of United Cerebral Palsy Associations of New York State, Inc. revenue bonds.
Good morning. The general resolution is a new resolution based on DASNY's model resolution and constitutes the agreement between DASNY and the holders of the bonds issued under it, and contains the basic terms that apply to each series of bonds issued under it. The series resolution authorizes the issuance of up to $28 million aggregate principal amount of bonds in one or more series at one or more times for the benefit of United Cerebral Palsy Association of New York State, Inc., doing business as Constructive Partnerships Unlimited, and delegates to authorize officers of DASNY the power, among others, to determine the final terms of the bond subject to certain limitations described in our letter, and authorizes the entry into a loan agreement or agreements and other customary transaction documents. The bonds will be special obligations of DASNY payable solely from the revenues pledged to the bonds, primarily payments made by Constructive Partnerships Unlimited under its loan agreement, and also includes amounts received from any other security pledged to the payment of the bonds. Thank you.
The loan agreement will constitute a general obligation of Constructive Partnerships Unlimited, or CPU, and require it to make payments in amounts and at times sufficient to make timely payments on the bonds. As security for CPU's obligations under the loan agreement, CPU will grant DASNY a security interest in its pledged revenues, which consist primarily of public funds, which consist of monies appropriated, apportioned, or otherwise payable to CPU by federal, state, and local governments and agencies. The pledged revenues will be subject to prior pledges as detailed in our letter and will be finalized in the loan agreement. DASNY's security interest in the pledged revenues will be enhanced by a standby intercept of certain public funds, memorialized by one or more agreements among DASNY, CPU, and one or more state agencies through which CPU receives public funds. In addition, each loan agreement may also contain certain financial covenants as determined by the underwriter based on market conditions and practices. This concludes our prepared remarks. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Liz. Second, thank you very much. All in favor, aye. Aye. None opposed, no abstention. That carries. Next up is the first help, which is SUNY Upstate Medical. Juan will present, and I note that Ken has recused
Thank
himself.
you. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much. Take it
Thank
away,
you.
Juan.
Thank you. Today, the board is being asked to authorize a TILP transaction for SUNY Upstate Medical University in an amount not to exceed $35,400,000. Proposed financing will support the acquisition of equipment for nursing, building services, information technology, pharmacy, and various other hospital services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none. Can I please get a motion to approve this? Thank you very much. Who's that? Joan. Thank you, Joan. Liz, thank you for the second. All in favor, aye. Aye. None opposed, no abstention. Thanks very much. Next up is the United Health Services Hospitals Help also being presented by Juan. Thank you, Juan. Please take it away.
Thank you. Today, the board is being asked to authorize a TILP transaction for United Health Services hospitals in an amount not to exceed $10 million. The hospital plans to finance equipment for clinical services, support services, cardiovascular services, nursing, physician practice, and finally, IT. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion, please. Thank you. Janice, second. Joan, Liz, thank you. All in favor, aye. Aye. None opposed, no abstentions. That carries. That concludes various offerings. Next up, behind tab 8 is the report of the president. Please, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Last month, DASNY issued a press release highlighting how our tax-exempt equipment leasing program has facilitated $318 million in tax-exempt lease transactions since 2020. And this, as you all know, helps healthcare institutions across New York State modernize critical equipment in the post-pandemic era, and many institutions are returning for repeat transactions, showing the program's continued value to helping healthcare providers acquire essential medical equipment while saving not just dollars, but also capital for other operational needs. So I'm not saying there's a direct correlation between the press release and 2 transactions, but it is important for us to notify our clients of the value that we have through this other program and make sure they avail themselves where appropriate. So we're excited about the work that Juan is doing. Thank you. And this could, certainly hopefully lead to increased business and transactions in the future. Tying to a little bit of the work that we do in terms of public finance, I want to mention that we visited Pace University, One Pace Plaza East renovation. I think for folks may recall, we completed that public finance transaction last year, and we met with the president, and allows us to really show how the financing that we do really substantially changes not just the university, but the surrounding community. One of their large projects is the renovation of a 100,000 square foot performing arts center, which features the renovated Schimmel Center along with comprehensive upgrades to Maria's Tower, providing updated residential spaces for 500 students. And when it's completed in fall of 2026, this project will create a dynamic space that will really support the arts, not just in Lower Manhattan, but certainly, across the city. Just an example of how our financing, really do help to support and transform communities. Moving to our other client, on the construction side, we visited Queens College and looked at the work that we're performing there. I was pleased to meet with President Frank Koo and look at a number of our infrastructure projects at the Flushing campus. I want to thank our construction team who toured with us and really walked us through the portfolio of projects that are currently underway, one of them being a large boiler and physical plant expansion. So we're excited about the work that's happening there, and the teams are really moving ahead to support those efforts. Along those lines, I want to continue to shout out the work that the construction team is doing and our external stakeholders. It's really been an important effort of ours to go out there and build our relationships with our existing clients, but also connect people with the work that we do. So when DASNY hosted a workshop called Designing for Wellness, where I gave the keynote address, we explored how the architectural design directly impacts wellness outcomes in both educational and healthcare settings, helping to bring together that perspective of higher ed, mental health facilities, and where the architecture and design components really are, matching and supporting emotional and social well-being and positive outcomes in both of those areas. So it was nice to connect with our clients, but also really connect with the architects and designers to really speak about how this comes together to support our different clients' needs and objectives, ranging the scale from higher ed to even some forensic mental health facilities. So exciting things on the engagement front and really developing our relationships with our stakeholders and promoting the work that we do to help drive more business in the future. Along those lines, I want to recognize our employees in terms of our all hands event. I want to thank the team for organizing that activity last month. Over 300 DASNY employees came together for our successful all hands event in Albany. The staff provided an update on activities over the past year, a brief look ahead, and there certainly was some fun to be had with a day of gathering and community. But it also shows our strong turnout and how we continue to really build a culture of collaboration here at DASNY. Along those lines, Hispanic Heritage Month, we are still in it. We have another week left. But I want to recognize my participation in partnership with the Department of Civil Service in their event and recognize our event here where we highlighted just one of the institutions that have received a grant for us in the past, El Museo del Barrio, and speak about what they mean in terms of a cultural institution supporting the Latino community across the 5 boroughs and arguably across the state. But it was worth mentioning that Western New York is also well on its way towards receiving its own Hispanic cultural center that our team is helping to usher through on the grant side. And it was also important to note that while the event occurred on Yom Kippur, we have supported and continue to support institutions across the state that support the variety of cultures and ethnicities that are represented in the state. So I expect that we'll have some more of these recognitions across the way. And the governor has been, frankly, amazing in her support of organizations, including the Museum for Jewish Heritage, which was where we held one of our most recent gatherings, and we'll continue to support. So I think it was a great celebration, but also recognizes how Sarah and the Grants Administration Unit and the work that they do is really supporting communities, culture, all across the state, and we were able to highlight that and integrate it into the Hispanic Heritage Month conversation. Finally, the DASNY team, I want to thank our external relations team for the work they did with the New York State Association of Counties. They attended that meeting, again, building our stakeholder connections. The counties are very important partners either for infrastructure projects or our partnership with community colleges. So it's great that we were able to continue to build upon that and figure out how we can continue to serve the counties and their various needs. So the rest of that with respect to media coverage, state environmental quality review report, and our monthly grant report is in there for your review. And that concludes the president's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. For any questions or concerns we'll move on then to public finance. Portia?
Oh, thank you very much, Jerry. In the members' materials are the standard public finance reports. Since the last board meeting, we closed the PIT transaction. We talked about the very successful pricing at the last meeting. I would note that we'll be in the market next week with the state sales tax transaction. So looking forward to that. Brief market update, total year-to-date new issuance volume for 2025 is approximately $470.5 billion, up from last year's comparable volume of approximately $426.6 billion. This week, primary issuance calendar is expected to total approximately $12.9 billion. Municipal bond flows saw inflows last week following outflows the prior week. Yesterday, AAA MMD yields were unchanged, with the 10-year and the 30-year holding steady at 2.91% and 4.21%. Respectively. U.S. government bond yields were lower with the 10-year treasury yield decreasing by 4 basis points to 4.14% and the 30-year decreasing by 3 basis points to 4.73%. Since the September 10th board meeting, the 1-year MMD is increased by 25 basis points, the 10-year decreased by 7, 30-year decreased by 10. During that same period, the 10-year treasury yield decreased by 6 basis points and the 30-year treasury yield increased by 1 basis point. The expectation is that the Fed will, as they did the last time around, increase rates. The expectation is that there will be at least one or two more rate decreases before the end of the year. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Portia. Any questions, Portia? Thank you. Financial report, Kim?
Thanks, Jerry. As highlighted in the standing financial report, personnel expenses continue to be ahead of projection, primarily due to increased salaries as a result of hiring efforts. Non-personnel expenses are slightly under projection due to timing of certain expenses. We closed on 2 private client debt issuances and received $400,000 in financing fees for the period, for a total of $1.5 million year to date against a total budgeted amount of $1.65 million. The percentage of direct hours charged to public client programs held steady at 95.4%, but remains slightly over the budgeted 94.4% for the year. Follow-up of the 2025 audit. As I reported last month, KPMG did wrap up their audit of the 8 individual restricted financial statements and issued a clean opinion on September 17th. Gearing up for this year's audit, it's my expectation that KPMG will be presenting their audit plan at next month's audit committee. This will be the 2nd year under their contract, which allows for 3 years with 2 one-year extensions, subject to continued determination that they are a responsible vendor. And I actually just received this morning a report from procurement that they have done their review of KPMG and they have been found to be a responsible vendor. So we are all clear on that front. Brief update on the Dynamics 365 implementation. The data migration activities completed on September 24th. However, there were issues identified that has required HSO to make modifications to the software and reload the data. Our project schedule as it is right now is we plan to have training beginning on October 20th with trainer on basic functionality and the customizations and enhancements that were done. With user acceptance testing beginning November 10th, going through mid-December, with a go live of February 2nd. Unless there's any questions, that concludes my report.
Kim? The questions, we'll move on to construction. Steve is up in Albany. I think I saw him.
Yep, thank you. The standard reports are within the board book. I'll give a brief summary. We had 3 new projects added to the portfolio during the last reporting period. They were all OMH projects. They totaled about $30 million. One at Hutchings PC, one at NKI, and one at Rockland Psych Center. There were 2 additional projects added into the report as they exceeded the $5 million threshold. Both were CUNY. One was at the College of Staten Island and the other at York College. They totaled approximately $15 million. So about $45 million in new projects into the portfolio. We completed 6 projects, 2 for CUNY, 3 for OMH, and 1 for SUNY, totaling about $80 million during the last reporting period, and there were no dropped projects during the last reporting period. Expenditures to date through August 2024 were August 2025 were $439 million. August 2024 were $328, so we have a net gain year over year of about $111 million in construction expenditures. The cover project was from the Rochester Psychiatric Center. It was a project to renovate a forensic ward in the psychiatric center. Main challenges were that the ward was occupied during the construction, which made things quite interesting. The project budget was $10.3 million. Pathfinders was our design consultant. Kircher was our construction general contractor. Construction completed in February of this past year. A couple of program updates on SUNY. We've left behind all the summer projects for 2025. We're in design and bid an award for the summer projects for 2026. We are working on two large new builds, one at Binghamton, which is a new 350-bed design build project. That is in design right now. And at SUNY Cortland, the 200-bed design build project, we're evaluating a couple of proposals and should be announcing the design builder for that project shortly. At CUNY, last week on October 2nd, we met again with the Vice Chancellor in our monthly meeting. We also had our CUNY monthly coordination meeting on October 2nd. We continue with a fair amount of work at Baruch, Queens, Hunter, Lehman, York, CSI, New York City Tech, and City College. With regard to OMH, we are continuing to remain on schedule with the Capital District Psych Center's 500 vehicle parking garage project. The Mid-Hudson Forensic Hospital, the new build, remains on schedule with site work, foundation work continuing along with structural steel frame erection. And on Western New York, the Children's Psych Center, we recently executed a change order. Our general contractor will be back on site within the next month, working on Area C, also working on alternatives to remedy the addition situation, looking for some pricing on those options. As far as the DOH Life Sciences project, we continue to bid packages through our design builder, Gilbane Turner. Most all packages continue to come in within or below target price, which is good news. We have a principals meeting scheduled for October 14th. Other than that, foundation should be starting within the next couple of weeks out there. So there will be some action on site other than just the consolidation of the site. A couple of admin items. We continue to have 19 open recruitments associated with 33 open positions. 20 of those 33 include staff that have been hired who have not started yet or have conditional offers we're waiting to negotiate. And lastly, we have a number of upcoming engagements. We have the ACEC Engineering Awards on October 24th, Next Generation Fall Meeting for Public Agencies on October 30th in New York, the SUNY Community College Business Officers Association Conference on November 12th, the New York State MWBE Forum on November 17th, and the AGC Conference on December 10th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve. You see pricing sort of holding steady at this point?
Yeah, things, especially in New York City, if you can believe it, are really surprisingly holding. We have a lot of bidders showing up on our GC type projects, and most of the bid pricing is at or below construction cost estimates, which is surprising, I guess, but the more it happens, I guess, the less I'm surprised.
Thanks. Any questions, Steve? Okay, here we go. Thank you, Steve. Now I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation, matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and a proposed pending or current litigation. Thank you very much, Joan. Thank you very much for the second, Al and Liz. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sarah, I don't know how to pause the recording. I'll count on you to do that. Camera is blocked right now.
No, it's on.
Slash.
Okay, we're back and recording.
Okay, While in executive session, no decisions were made other than that to return to public session. The next meeting is going to be on November 12th. There will be an audit committee meeting and also a governance committee meeting, as well as, of course, finance. Thank you all for letting me be your chair today.
Nice job, Jerry. Good
Turn it
job.
Back over to our
Good.
team chair for November. And that concludes our, thank you very much.